it's dropping the floor on wages and working conditions, and they are the first group that sees it. And it's one of the things that disturbs me very much about so-called Tikkun Olam Jews. And I've come to the conclusion that Tikkun Olam is merely it's a code language for radical multiculturalist post-Americans. I mean, the idea that somehow they are peculiarly concerned with social justice is preposterous. I mean, they have a particular view of the world. It's a kind of left-wing, politically correct, moronic multiculturalism. There are definitely Jews that are concerned about justice. I don't regard myself as a Tikkun Olam Jew. I just regard myself as an American, a Jewish American who's concerned about justice. That doesn't mean, and what I'm wondering is, where are they when it comes to what's going on with the African American community today? My guess is that African Americans are no longer chic. It's a new fashionable thing in the world of ethical concern is illegal Hispanics. So blacks are out, Hispanics are in. I mean, it really, I hate to put it that way, but it comes down as crudely as that. And we also see with the black community, and it's something which I think is true it's true of every community in this country, and that is that the leadership elites are not where the great majority of the community is. So, for example, I think it's reasonable to say, why has the Congressional Black Caucus not been at the forefront of the battle against open-ended immigration by low-skilled workers? And the answer is that in the year 2000, they cut a deal. The Congressional Black Caucus cut a deal with the Hispanic Caucus, saying, so long as you don't run Hispanic candidates against sitting African American candidates, and that's to say, many sitting African American candidates are in constituencies that are increasingly Hispanic, we'll cut a deal with you. We'll support open borders immigration. So it's kind of like, there's a sort of I'm all right, Jack mentality. I mean, as long as my incumbency is okay, I don't care about how miserable this is making my community. And unfortunately, and this is I just toss this out to African Americans. There's too much deference shown to leadership, whether it's in the church, whether it's in politics. The African American community needs to take a much more jaundiced eye towards its leadership, because they have clearly sold out a community in this country which is suffering from unemployment levels in many cases double what we saw in the Great Depression. I mean, this is a community that's terribly beleaguered. If you ask my opinion, what's kind of some of the greatest issues still remaining in America. The greatest issue is sorting out the race problem, and I mean black-white. That's the issue. We never solved it. We never got that one right. And probably, if I were to speak in macroeconomic terms, I'd say we need a policy, a new industrial policy. But the race question's never been figured out. We just sort of, we dealt with some of the legal aspects of the issue, but not a lot of the underlying familial and economic questions. We moved on to other things. And again, now we have, when I'm looking at my own immediate community, I mean, obviously I think of myself as an American, but my own immediate community being the Jewish community, I'm ashamed to say that those who regard themselves as the social activists have simply stopped thinking about black people. They're thinking about people who have no legal right to be here and who are stealing jobs from the most vulnerable people here. And they don't want to face up to the very difficult underlying truth in all of this, and that is that immigration is a zero-sum game. Some people win, and some people lose. And, it's not a wonderful thing for everyone. It's not a fetish that we should be worshiping. And one of the big losers in this game are African Americans. Also, young people trying to enter the job market. Teenage unemployment is the highest now since in 40 years. Young people can't get jobs. We've got 6 Americans chasing every single job. And while this is all going on, while we have as I said, 17.5% U6 unemployment, and we have, they admit to 10%, you know, and they all went nuts when it went down. I think what was 0.2% or something. And you know, we all recognize that that is a meaningless figure because people who no longer receive unemployment compensation become statistically invisible. So, you know, just garden variety unemployment's got to be 15%. You know, this is simple madness, and I don't understand. And so while this is happening, the federal government, the feds are bringing in 125,000 foreign workers every month. I mean, go figure. I recently read a piece by Paul Krugman, who used to have his head screwed on this issue the right way, and wrote a very important piece about this back in 2006 called North of the Border, in which he says everything that I've been saying. He has shut up since. I don't know why. My guess is that in the intellectual circles and the social circles where he moves, to speak this kind of truth is to be considered, you know, a racist, a nativist, I don't know, whatever language they'll throw at you. But Krugman was talking about the need to have a jobs policy. You know, we need huge money. He was talking about $3 trillion that the Fed should come up with to stimulate the economy, and that we would be creating, I think he said, we needed to create 100,000 jobs a month for 5 years. And I'm thinking, well, but he didn't say anywhere in that article that we're importing 125,000 foreign workers a month. So his concept is murdered in the cradle because he just will not say. It's you know, unfortunately, in huge parts of the elite in this society, the uber issue, the uber loyalty is open borders immigration. That's the God that they're willing to sacrifice everything for. They're willing to sacrifice American labor. They're willing to sacrifice the working poor to that God. They're willing to sacrifice sane population growth. They're willing to sacrifice global warming. I mean, you name it. They're willing to sacrifice everything for open borders. I don't get it. I mean, I have to tell you, if you're going to ask me to explain that, I don't know how to explain it. But I do know that it's become the holy of holies for the elite, particularly on the left. This has become the issue, as I said, to which everything must be bent. And it's under the economic circumstances that we are enduring now, it's madness.
How have our difficult economic times and rising unemployment affected the immigration debate among the elites?
I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think it's affected it at all, which is absolutely astounding. You know, at the jobs summit that the president called at the White House, not a single person there talked about the impact on American workers and jobs of foreign labor. It was the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but no one would mention it. And instead, they were coming up with all of these schemes, involving billions, if not trillions of dollars in economic stimulus packages and all the rest. And none of them employed Occam's razor and went to the low-hanging fruit, which is that we have millions upon millions of people in this country illegally stealing jobs and destroying the social safety net because they're not earning nearly enough to pay the taxes required to support the public programs that they are bankrupting and on which they will be dependent for decades. I mean, if someone had simply come into them and said that, that would have been the truth. That would have been like saying the emperor has no clothes. And we could have gotten, if someone would honestly talk about the impact of low-skilled labor, and by the way, that was the heart of the immigration reform proposed by Congresswoman Barbara Jordan under the Clinton administration, a civil rights heroine, a great woman, that whole commission